If you're just joining us, our discussions are starting now. Let me quickly introduce our guest. Chief Emeka Okengwu is joining us for discussions this morning on this very topical issue. Chief Okengwu is a project development management consultant. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning, Emeka.
All right. Okay, Chief Okengwu. At last, can we say that the Occupy Nigeria protest is yielding results with the arraignment of some suspects in the management of the or mismanagement of the food subsidy scheme?
At last, can we also say that the chicken has come to roost? Can we also say that we're now upping the ante? Can we also say that there's a new chapter to this whole brouhaha?
Can we say all of that?
Can we say all of that? And in saying all of that, yes, we can say all of that. Because, you see, what I see playing out here is something that is really, really interesting. Why is this interesting? Somebody gives somebody a contract. And somebody says, based on what it is you've done, based on our contractual agreements, I have paid you money. And somebody else now says, oh no, the person you gave a contract didn't now do what you asked him to do. And on your behalf, or on my behalf, on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, I am now going to prosecute this person. Let's now put it in proper context. First and foremost, we must understand and appreciate that this contract for fuel supply was a legal relationship drawn up contractually between willing parties and agents, and that in the process of now developing that contractual or business arrangement, okay, demands, were now, if you do this, I'm going to do this. If this person says you have done this, I'm going to do this. Yeah. So in this very long value chain, you now have what you can call the primary actors that must or that needed to do something before money was released. NNPC is a primary actor here. PPRA is a primary actor here. Now, under the NNPC, you could talk about the PPRA, and under the PPRA, you could talk about the PPRA board. You can now talk about their external agents, like their auditors, et al. The Nigerian Navy is a primary actor here. The Nigerian banks are primary actors here. Okay? Now, we are not talking about the secondary actors. Benga, we should ask ourselves a question. For something the Minister of Justice has said, we are going to be thorough in this investigation. Very thorough. And because we're going to be thorough in this investigation, we are not going to do anything based on any political considerations. And as long as evidence hasn't been taken under caution, as the lawyers would say, as long as you have not been cautioned that whatever it is you use as evidence, as long as the people
whatever you say will be used
will be against you, we are not going to use this document. And then all of a sudden they say we are ready to now take these people for prosecution. And Benga, my brother, 2 hours after you put them on the dock and pictures taken and Occupy Nigeria, of course, started celebrating, you withdrew the charges.
You suspect something is amiss there?
The answer is obviously in the question. The one need to suspect for you to see it. What it simply means is that either somebody is not being real here, or like I said to you, we've changed the name of the game.
To
I think, sir, what I think we should be looking at is these people that are in court today, what are they in court for? The technical committee, what were they looking for? On what basis are they being tried? We have left the real substance being. These particular companies that are there now are there because of the tracking of ships. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. They say, come and prove to us how you are able to now tell us that you have flooded a ship that was in China. In one of the instances, I mean, one of the ships that they claimed brought in the fuel had actually not, sailed for like 2 years or so. And then how are you going to now show us that the one you said offloaded actually didn't offload anything? So we are not looking at the fuel subsidy scam. You must appreciate that these guys, it is now the onus of proof to say, okay, sorry, I think you got the name of the ship that brought it wrongly. And it is not the name of the ship that matters here. You can't jail me even if I didn't give you the name of the right ship that brought in my products. What you can jail me for is to now say that the signatures that released money to me was forged. So the major myth, my brother Benga, and I think what doctor is trying to let Nigerians know is that you're saying drag the son of a sitting ruling party. It's a little bit. I
was asking whether that is significant.
It's a little bit laughable, because you didn't drag the son of a sitting chairman of a party. You didn't drag him. He is not involved. We are talking about some corporate institution and corporate relationships here. What should be asking? Yes, the boy has a right, as far as I'm concerned, as a Nigerian. His father doesn't pay him salary because you're Benga. Okay, and then your son needs to come to probably AIT to do a program. They say, because his father works there. Yes, it's possible, but that's not even the issue. People in other climes, I mean, if your son qualifies, a governor in this country has come up to say, okay, fine, because I am governor, my son does not qualify to now look for what's right or what's wrong. I don't think that should be what we should be looking at. I think what we should be looking at is the morality, okay, like of NMPC not being the ones on trial here.
Okay, we'll come to that, and probably maybe we'll use as a guide the reports. Who or what did the committees actually find out? The committee in the House, the the committee. What actually they find out? And whether this trial actually, even if they run to conclusion, whether they will actually address the endemic problem that still persists in that sector.
Beautiful.
Yes,
beautiful.
We'll come to that.
Yes,
yes, Chief.
Yes, sir.
You said earlier on that we're actually chasing shadows. That's my summary of what I've been able to get from the three of you now. What then should we be doing? A lot of people have said that the first thing we should do is actually to look closely at the fuel subsidy. That the problem we have is not about to end. For example, the problem we had is this. In 2011, the National Assembly appropriated 240 billion naira for fuel subsidy. By the end of the year, and by the report of the Farouk Lawan-led committee, we had spent 2.5 trillion naira. By this year, the Minister of Finance told us that we had also paid about well over 400 billion naira, still part of the arrears of last year. So we're actually talking of a fuel subsidy that is in the neighborhood of about 2.8 or 2.9 trillion naira. Now that's more than half of the budget for last year alone. Which nation can't survive along this line? Keep it planning along this line.
Well, first and foremost, because I mean, when you're also telling our brother in Lagos to keep it short, you're also talking to us. So I'm just going to keep it very short. We are not a nation, we're a state. Nigeria is not a nation, and I'm saying this on national television. We are a state, because you see, the instruments of nationhood and the variables that operate a nation is not the same thing that obtains in that of a state, but it's a story of another day. Let's focus on what it is we're talking about. The fuel subsidy is what happens in a state that is a market, because you're talking about what you call economics. I've said this severally, that there's a world of difference between economics and economy. This will not happen in any economy. It can happen in economics, because in economics you're basically dealing with what you call market variables and market forces, where you have, as long as you have demand, you're going to have supply, and as long as you have demand exceeding supply, you're going to have price increase. So first and foremost, it is important that Nigerians know that there is nothing called fuel subsidy in this instance. What you have is what they call price differentials. Because subsidy is, I've said this severally, is a production-driven instrument. You subsidize. First and foremost, let us begin with what we call the import substitution, so that people can begin to now get this in out of context. What we are chasing is not shadows. We are chasing shadows in the dark. You understand? So when you're chasing shadows, it simply means that somebody is standing and you're leaving the man to chase his shadow. But when you put off all these lights now and you say you're chasing shadows, that's what we're doing.
You're actually grouping.
You're just misbehaving. Okay, so what it is we need to understand is that in the first place, when everybody keeps mounting import substitution model, Benga, what does it mean? It simply means that you are importing your production shortfall. You are now subsidizing that production shortfall by imports.
In which case, what you spend is minimal.
Thank you. That is when you now have things that are running. Today, world economics has changed. Which is why you have 18-year-old sons. I mean, a lot of us whose sons are in IT are dashing us money. Oh, just by designing one instrument or the other. You know, in these days we used to go for interviews and you carry your CV. It's no longer obtainable. You find very young bright people who are moving things forward. Now, let's go back to where we're talking about, Benga. It's important that we understand that what is going on here is a contractual agreement that has demands. And I am saying to you, NMPC is a very critical person in this business. PPRA is even more critical because they are the ones that are actually now deciding, you know, who to give, what volume to import, where to stock, where not to stock. And there have been stories, if you look at that report, where even the CBN was refusing to discount, you know, some of the letters, you know, that the banks were writing, or people are there for people to be paid monies. But what can we do to solve this problem? Because first and foremost, take it or leave it. Okay. Until it is the NMPC that is put on trial, or until it is the NMPC that is putting its business partners on trial, you can't begin to see images. Let's dig a little deeper. You know, you had asked a question. Yes. Why is Niger Republic?
Why is it that we cannot manage refineries?
Yes, I think
smaller countries are able to.
I can tell you why. Yes. Again, it ties into what you call contractual agreements. I have listened to you over a very long time. And you see, you're one of these very few, probably you're becoming our own Larry King over time, because sometimes you throw in questions and then I watch how the people now start grappling to answer it, which is why they said you tell us the answer and you ask us a question. Okay? Now, let's go to it. When you have what you call an oil bid round, it's usually a 12-month supply period. Because in this oil bid round, the people now would have get their vessels, load it, transfer it, and one of the requirements for you to be able to now qualify for oil bid round is that you have attachment or contract with the refinery. Now, let me get to my question. Out of the 2 million barrels of oil that we produce in this country every day, yes, how much of it do we have direct access to? How many people also know that it is only 445,000 barrels? Now, what has happened to
that are refined locally?
That are supposed to be refined locally.
And I'm told that is enough to take care of our local.
I'm coming, sir. You will not get to where the whole confusion is. Now, because NMPC, in the bid to raise money, remember that NMPC is a marketing company. In the bid to raise money, now sees that refining these things locally does not give them foreign exchange. What do? They have tied that 445,000 barrels to contractual agreements.
So that too is also exported.
That you can't, all is exported. This was what the report in the House clearly showed. That's why Transfigura and all these other guys, some were even taking it to Gambia. Are you listening to me, my brother? Yes. So when we do not understand what the real issues are, then we begin to now mess it all up.
Yeah. But should that about too, should they also attract subsidy? Should NMPC also collect subsidy?
That's what I'm saying. That you see, the moment you have, call it you see, when you use the word fraud, it does not always mean criminal. Okay, you can be fraudulent by playing at mischief. Where am I playing at, Benga? What does it cost to establish a modular refinery, which is what Ghana is running? What does it cost to establish a modular refinery, which is what Niger Republic is running?
At least to take care of our.
Do you know why? Yeah. Because you are already tied. You don't have any crude oil for your local refining. That is what the issues are.
So a very big thank you to my guest, Chief Emeka Okengwu. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Very busy businessman.